Hello everyone, I welcome you all to another episode of IU's Talks. I hope things are going well with you and your family in terms of health and things. I am Ayusha and I thank you for watching this episode. When we talk about technology, IBM is perhaps the best known computer company in the world, providing hardware, software, cloud computer based services, and whatnot into technology. Talking about IBM, we have with us a very special guest, Jain, who is VP of Marketing and Communication. And it gives me immense pleasure to have a conversation with Suzanne. Hello, ma'am. How have you been?
Hello, Ayush. It's a pleasure to talk to you. We're almost on opposite ends of the world today. I'm on the west coast of the United States, and you're in one of my favorite cities, Delhi. And it's a real pleasure to talk to you today and to share some thoughts and engage in good dialogue that I hope will be helpful to various people as they learn to set up and shape their own careers.
Absolutely, ma'am. Ma'am, I want to start this conversation with your own story. How was your childhood? Because you grew up in West, right? And you studied there and all that. So I want to know more about your story from the beginning.
All right. Well, I was the daughter of two college professors, and I grew up in a very small town, and had kind of an insane curiosity from the very beginning. And curiosity is something that has really um, led me, in my life altogether. And I was fortunate that I had parents who supported my curiosity and in many cases expanded it. So whether it was going to university on the opposite side of the United States or family vacations to see the world outside of the small town we lived in, um, you know, that's where things really started for me. And, curiosity again became a driving factor in, in my exploration of life and the way my career came together. So literally, I used university as an opportunity to buy a plane ticket to the other side of the United States. And I went from a small town in Oregon to Boston, where I did my undergraduate and graduate degrees. I studied urban planning and transportation engineering, which you might think are, kind of strange degrees to lead to a marketing career. Um, but they served me very well. And that's, again, one of the other themes that I would share with folks is um, that having flexibility and applying your skills in a variety of different environments can be what makes life interesting and makes entrepreneurs and makes careers successful, because it's not just about doing one thing in today's always changing world. It's about taking what you know and applying it where there's opportunity and where your passions are, which for me ended up being in marketing, even though I'd been trained as an urban planner and engineer to rebuild a better world. Um, but in graduate school, I had the opportunity to do a startup. And that led into the entrepreneurial portion of my career, where I did two startups. Neither of them was hugely successful, but one of them lasted for about 10 years and then got sold. The other one lasted for about 5 years and then got sold. And I'm so happy that I had entrepreneurialism at the beginning of my career, because it was such a great opportunity to learn how to be entrepreneurial even when I was working in a large company such as IBM, as well as everything else that I learned along the way, from writing code to being a seller, to being a marketer, to being in front of clients, to pleasing the client, to having a successful product or an unsuccessful product. All of those things came out of that set of experiences. And, eventually I moved into a more corporate environment, but starting as an entrepreneur really, really served me well, even if I didn't get rich, which was my plan.
That is so great. And I remember when we had a last conversation on Instagram, you mentioned that you started your first startup really early in your life. And I want to know what is the exact story behind venturing into your startup and later joining IBM and taking the responsibility of the marketing in the Middle East. So how was that for you?
Sure. Um, and there are a lot of interesting themes that come out of that. Literally, I was introduced to IBM and the opportunity that led me to IBM because I was on a bowling team and I met someone who was a recruiter from IBM. And this happened when I was going to take a year off because my daughter had joined the family. So it wasn't my plan. Um, It wasn't by intentional networking, or we didn't have LinkedIn or Monster or those kind of things, Glassdoor in those days and ages. Um, but the same principles apply. I believe that opportunity can come from places where you least expect it. And therefore, giving yourself the latitude to do not just one thing, which is not just go try to look for X, but to experience all the things around you that interest you or present themselves as opportunities, because they could lead you to X, but they could also lead you to a Y that's much more interesting than the X that you were thinking about.
That's very important, ma'am. Even as an entrepreneur, I face these things in my everyday journey, and really great. And I'm pumped up for this episode because I kind of learned or read about your story on Google. But I want to know from you personally, what all goes into solving bigger and more complex problems as an entrepreneur in daily life.
Well, and that's where the background in urban planning and engineering really came in handy, honestly, because problem solving methodology is problem solving methodology, and the skills that go into problem solving and how you apply it can be a multitude of different things. It could be marketing, yes. It can be marketing in the US. It can be marketing in India. It can be marketing in any of the other environments that I've worked in. Or it could be how to start a successful new company or how to grow a company. But it's all about having the skills of problem solving. Um, since I know work with a lot of tech folks and developers. Agile. Agile is one of the most valuable skills that anyone can have because agile approach to problem solving in can be applied to any circumstance. And for example, the chief marketing officer of IBM, Michelle Peluso, one of her objectives that she talks about a lot is for IBM to be known as the most agile marketing team in the world. And folks might think agile and marketing don't really go together, but absolutely they do because it's about problem solving. And then when you apply the other principles of agile, such as breaking problems down into smaller pieces, and bring in design thinking, perhaps, um, then things that seem very huge and complex and intimidating can be broken down into pieces that are quite manageable. And as you go through one piece and you solve a bit of a problem, you can see where the next steps are, and they may be different again than you might have thought from the very beginning. But that's the beauty of Agile. And also, when you combine it with design thinking, which gives you a way to sort of guide the path forward, then I believe you really have a magical combination. And the other thing is pretty simple. Don't freak out.
To that. You're mentioning all the points which are very basics when it comes to starting an entrepreneurship journey. And but I believe not everybody focuses on their, making them strong in terms of these small rituals. And talking about rituals, I want to know your rituals as an entrepreneur.
Sure. I think pretty basic things. Again, set a foundation, or as we sometimes say, some guardrails that help you maneuver through whatever it is that faces you. And every day they're likely to be different, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're working in a large company. Unless you're working on an assembly line, the challenges that you're going to face on a daily basis are likely to be different every day. So part of it is by setting those setting those guideposts and maintaining your view of those guideposts, and then challenging yourself every day to say, what can I accomplish today? What can I not accomplish, but at least start? And what can I do better? And if you don't do those three things every day, whether it's, in your interpersonal relationships, whether it's, with your colleagues, whether it's with um, how you're running and forming your company, um, you'll get there. You'll get there because those will help you to deal with the complexities and the uncertainties that come up. I mean, we could have had all the best paid plans in the world, but none of them thought that the world was going to be set off on a completely different track by COVID this year, right? But the people who are, not only surviving but thriving are the ones who I believe keep that problem solving sort of mentality and, and ingenuity and inventiveness and a certain degree of fearlessness, as well as listening to others and listening to what's going on and apply those three principles. It creates a very powerful combination.
You know what? One very important lesson one can take from this exact question which I asked is that, all you need to do is every day you got to give yourself homework, and you have to complete that homework just as you used to do in your school and in your college, right? As an entrepreneur or as a professional, you have to give yourself homework, and you have to meet the deadlines, right?
Yes, but one of the biggest lessons that came to me early in my career, however, and I think it applies to other folks. Certainly, when I was working in India, is that every day, in real life, you don't get graded every day. You don't get your score on a daily basis or once a month or at the end of the semester. And so that's why the importance of having a way of working and a way of thinking about the world and these principles of how you're going to operate. And then you can grade yourself, or you can ask your colleagues, you can ask the people around you for feedback, which is an incredibly important gift. But we tend to get trained, particularly those who go through very demanding academic environments, to play to the test and to where life is measured in terms of being a topper. And the reality is, in real life, it's the outcomes that really matter. It's not how you do on a test. And again, as the daughter of college professors, it took me a while to learn this. Um, but and also realizing that feedback is a gift. It's not criticism. It's not a negative thing. It's an opportunity to learn and do better.
I, you know what
Do you agree with that?
yeah, I actually agree, because that's what we are doing this in every day, because in technology we believe data is the fuel, right? And when we ask for feedback from anyone, that is the data which we are getting about ourselves, and which is transparent. So this is why psychology
Yes,
or
but I think it's I think it's a natural. So you're already practicing this, right? It's something that I think the upcoming generation of entrepreneurs is very comfortable with. Because you grew up in social worlds and where feedback is not only present all the time, but it's instantaneous. Um, and this is a strength because I will tell you, older generations like mine didn't necessarily grow up that way, and tend to be a little bit more rigid in our thought and thinking that the older we go, the more experience we have, um, we don't need feedback because we know more than other people and we aren't going to make mistakes. When the reality is, everyone makes mistakes. But the
absolutely.
beauty is learning from them and learning, and perhaps avoiding them by asking for feedback along the way.
But ma'am, you know what? I want to know more about your, this professional life. So, how was your, experience leading a technology company for more than around 25 years, right? Around 25 to 26 years. Yeah, great time.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I have always said, and I'm not just saying it because of you and the theme of your program, but coming into IBM was a gift in the sense of being an entrepreneur and keeping my entrepreneurial tendencies alive, but practicing them in the environment of IBM. And the first 6 jobs that I had in IBM hadn't existed before. So again, you might look at a big company and a company that's been around for almost 110 years and say everything is very predictable and set paths and so forth. No, that's not the case because large companies have to change with the times as well. So whether you're an entrepreneur in a startup or whether you're taking an entrepreneurial mindset into a career in a larger organization, that was, I think, really key to me to creating new opportunities and opportunities to grow well beyond where I started at IBM, and quite frankly, beyond, even some of my dreams and expectations.
It's incredible that you have created a space for yourself in such a big company. It's really incredible, and that is what we do as an entrepreneur. You used to do that. That is why you had this ritual. And I think it's really I didn't knew that.
Yeah. Well, for example, having the opportunity to go to India and to build the first integrated marketing and communications team for IBM in India, which I did in 2009. Again, that was partly by um, setting the stage in ways that created an opportunity, but did not guarantee an opportunity. But one of the things that can be very important um, in any environment and was critical in that situation for me is having mentors. Mentors and sponsors. Mentors are people who, you have a set relationship with. Um, Formally, sponsors are people who are interested in you and interested in your success. And I had a mentor who um, was instrumental in my getting that opportunity to do that, which was a dream role for me. And I had sponsors who said, well, we know you've always liked to do something like that. How can I help?
It's a part of life which not everybody gets. Having a mentor is very special because I have one. You shared you had mentors in your life, so it's also a very special feeling and it's a great support in uh, in an entrepreneur's life. I would say.
Yes. Well, and being systematic about how you develop your mentors is one of the things where being systematic and precise can really make a difference. So when I was looking for a mentor and I had this very vague idea of going to India in mind, I asked, could my mentor be the highest ranking Indian in marketing in IBM? Because I thought if anyone could help me, create a job that didn't exist yet, it would be someone who would be sympathetic to, the requirements in India and my desire to work there, as well as who would know how to connect with people in IBM to help this kind of opportunity materialize. And so mentors are an opportunity to build relationships in areas where you don't have connections and expertise. So if you're an entrepreneur and you've got great technical skills, you're a great talker, you can sell anything, but you know nothing about finance, get a mentor in finance as an example, because that can help round out something and complete the whole.
Absolutely.
And it's worked for me several times. It's not a guarantee, but it creates the opportunity.
I think that's the right route for them, I would say. All
Good.
right. As you mentioned, you worked in India in 2009. You must have worked with many youth here, right? But I want to know what are some of the plans of IBM, for the youth.
One of my favorite questions. IBM has a number of really interesting and exciting programs to engage um, younger people. And that's from the technology side as well as more generally. Um, the global program that I think is particularly inspiring is called PTech, PTECH, if anyone wants to look it up. And PTech exists in countries around the world and in cities within countries around the world. And it's a really special program because it recognizes that the need for skills is changing, and therefore how to prepare for those jobs, or the new collar jobs as we refer to them, is different than perhaps traditional education. And it offers an alternate to 4-year degrees, so that you can start in high school, and then by the time you've completed 2 years of university, be ready to go start a career in a defined field, because you've mastered the skills required for that field. Now, yes, maybe you didn't take history and literature and things like that, but you're ready to go to work after 2 years of university, which for a lot of people, even 2 years of a university is a gift, because they may not be able to afford it and their families may not have the wherewithal. So I think that PTech is an amazing program. In India, IBM has a variety of programs, and one of my proteges, who I'm very proud to stay in touch with, is working specifically in the area and helping to make sure that women can successfully enter the tech industry and stay in the tech industry. So there are a variety of programs going on there. And again, with the changing requirements for technology, there's almost no such thing as being too young. And because you're practicing this yourself, and I know you're a friend of Tanmay Bakshi, who's 16 years old right now.
Yeah.
It does lead to some interesting discussions I'm starting to see in the press about whether children really do need to start programming when they're 5 years old, or let them play. Let them play, let them learn, let them explore. And if they want to program, fantastic. I wanted to be an Egyptologist and go dig in the sand. And somehow that got me where I am today. Those are just some examples. It's not lost on, great companies such as IBM that there's a need for new thinking, for diverse thinking, for talent that's digital native. So there are programs all over the world. PTech is my particular favorite, but you can always look up IBM in any country that you're in and see what else there might be for you.
This is going to be very much helpful for because all of my audience is like around 18 to 25 or 30, so it would be very much helpful. Sure.
Yeah. Another great program that for people too, particularly those who have an entrepreneurial mindset, is Call for Code. And yeah, Call for Code, which takes place every year, and gives, and it's sponsored by IBM, but it's not limited to IBM. All kinds of folks have gotten involved in it, from, I believe, Eminem to Bill Clinton. So, but it's a program that's a contest to develop proofs of concept to solve major problems. And it runs every year. So this year's cycle has just finished. A multinational team, I believe, of young people from around the world got together to produce the winning recommendation. And so again, for those with an entrepreneurial mindset, because this can lead to actually starting a company and having support of various kinds to start a company with the best ideas.
So they can make it a blast. You know, these offers and these small courses are available. I saw them on the website as well. So these all are very helpful. So
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you the very last question, because I know you have, yeah, there is not a lot of time we have. So what is the last message you have for the youth?
My message is, be optimistic and don't hesitate to innovate. Optimistic. I'm a natural optimist, so but the world needs optimism, particularly right now, but always needs optimists. And it's the optimists and the dreamers who combine that with their innovative ideas and get things done and create the next cycle of innovation, of successful large companies, of organizations that change the world. And I can't wait to see that kind of thing coming from your generation. And I hope that, that there are ways that I can also continue to be a part of that. And I hope that this sharing of ideas has helped today to provide some practical ideas, but also hopefully some reasons for optimism and for curiosity and for innovation. And if I've helped one person to do something better or differently than they might have, then I've more than done my job, and it's my pleasure to be here. I noticed on one of your Instagram posts that you had the quote from Buddha that said, "If you light a lamp for someone else, it will also brighten your path." So I hope I've lit some lamps today.
A lot, a lot. Not just one, but a lot. I'm sure.
I hope. Well, I look forward to staying in touch and seeing, seeing those lamps light even brighter.
Definitely, I'm gonna share you a lot of success stories in a couple of months.
Great.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
And
much.
hey, since it's almost Diwali, what better time to be talking about lighting lamps? So
Oh, it's so great. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
thank you, Ayush. All the best.